Hello guys, welcome to our recap of Manhwa. Without wasting any time, let's delve into the story. The story begins with our protagonist waking up in the body of a weak goblin, the weakest race of monsters, much to his dismay. He soon realizes that he has been reincarnated in the world of the game he was playing and that his memories have merged with those of the goblin he now inhabits. Among these memories, he finds he has a blind sister named Lily, whom he vows to protect. He is in the demon continent, working for an evil merchant. One day, while he is working, a circular beam of light flashes and holy knights come out of it, destroying everything. He rushes to find his blind sister, Lily, and they are caught by the army. He gets hurt badly, but before the leader can kill Lily, our goblin saves Lily but gets severely injured. A voice, belonging to the one who reincarnated him, gives him powers to defeat the army in their leader, saving Lily. His level and range increase, and he realizes he can unlock more powers by fighting. Meanwhile, Butch, a higher-ranking monster, tries to take credit for the victory. Our goblin challenges him to a fight and easily defeats him. He and Lily wonder about everything that has happened, and he uses Dark Cure, a high-level healing magic, to restore Lily's sight. Lily is pleased and confused, and he tells her that he can now use dark magic. A goblin fairy appears, and tells them that she has been asked to escort them to the hidden village of goblins. Goblin is shocked to hear about such a place, and after a long journey, they reach the village. The villagers are kind but living in poor conditions due to the lack of food and resources. The old goblin chief tells him that their tribe is in a fragile condition and on the brink of extinction. The village is in poor condition due to constant oppression from other tribes and the human army. The village chief tells him about a prophecy of a young man led by a fairy, who would save their tribe. Our goblin suspects the voice he heard is the goddess the chief mentioned. The chief gives him a map, entrusting him with the tribe's fate. He sees in the projection that he can unlock more dark magic skills by completing the quests. He checks his physical strength and realizes he can use a wide variety of magics but some skills are still locked. He decides to test his abilities, unlocking more dark magic skills. He punches a rock, causing it to explode. He and the goblin fairy discover a specific place on the Elder Scroll, leading them to the ancestral heroes of the goblin tribe. Our goblin summons an army of different kinds of goblins using his powers, like Goblin General, Gobdragon, Goblin Girl. The Goblin General calls him Lord Messiah and asks for his orders. He decides to become the Goblin Messiah, aiming to end the war between the heroes' forces and the Demon Lord's army, bringing peace to the world. After a while, Goblin meets the goddess of goblins who grants him power. She explains that tens of millions of goblins have died throughout countless playthroughs, treated as nothing more than low-level life forms. However, due to inheritance reincarnation, Goblin has inherited all the knowledge and darkness of his fallen brethren, making him unparalleled in power. The goddess leaves the future of their dying tribe in his hands. Goblin plans to fulfill his duty by creating a world free of oppression. He fills out the entrance examination application for the Academy of Dark Magic, and heads towards the demon continent with the goblin fairy accompanying him. On his way, he hears a voice scolding a goblin slave. The slave's master, Bradley, a lower-ranking demon aristocrat, amassed wealth from trading slaves, crime, and intimidation. Goblin recalls Bradley from the game and is excited to test out the abilities of his new heroic spirit companions. Goblin drops to his knee and summons the Goblin Girl, who agrees to do whatever he says. Goblin asks Bradley to stop hurting the slave, but he refuses. Goblin offers to buy the slave 100 times her original price, and Bradley, shocked, accepts the offer. Goblin reveals to the slave that he is a goblin like her and wants to help her. He reveals that the gold was Bradley's, which Goblin Girl stole from his locker using her unique abilities. He believes that slavery shouldn't exist in this world and extends his hand to her. The slave thanks him, and Goblin orders the Goblin Fairy to guide her to the hidden village. Goblin heads to the academy to fulfill his plan. Upon arriving at the Academy of Dark Magic, he recalls that the school accepts new students who have exceptional abilities. He wants to become an elite cadet to meet the cruel King Duel and crush him. As he enters the gate, he sees a long line of entrance exam applicants. A blonde girl with long ears asks him for something sweet to eat. He gives her a handmade chocolate by his sister, and after eating it, she realizes it was precious and apologizes. She introduces herself, Letty. Since he can't remember his, she decides to call him Lime. The announcement is made for the entrance exam to begin, and applicants are told to gather at the central plaza. During the magic test, Letty gathers her magic and throws it to the target, surprising others who recognize her as the rumored princess of the evil elves tribe. Lime is surprised to learn she's a princess and wonders if he should change his attitude towards her. After passing the magic test, applicants take a break, and Lime asks Letty if something is wrong. She's worried about a subject she's not good at on the written exam. Lime thinks the exam is similar to solving quizzes related to the game, and he answers it without any trouble. The instructor explains that the exam content for this year will be different, and all the examinees have only one target, a huge monster, a thunder dragon. Applicants panic and run for their lives as the dragon releases massive lightning towards them. Letty rushes towards the dragon, and Lime tries to stop her, but she's desperate to pass the exam and uses the wind bind to shackle the dragon. However, she freezes when she realizes the wind chain was destroyed. Lime blocks the dragon's attack using his colossal barrier, and tells Letty to wait a little bit because he would end it quickly. Lime uses the dark magic, Dark Boost level 54, and swiftly moves towards the dragon, but he's greeted by the dragon's attack. Lime dodges the dragon's multiple fireballs and snatches Hage's sword, using the elemental coating level 49. He shouts the skill Dark Sword Thunderbolt and throws it towards the dragon, defeating it. Lime looks at the window screen, and learns that he is now level 3 awakening and acquires the demonic sword equipment. The instructor decides to report Lime's exceptional talent to the dean. Several hours later, Lime and Letty look above to see the result of the combat test, and they learn that only 2 had passed, and it was them. Lime thought he had passed the test, and Letty happily accepts his explanation when he says the school evaluated her based on how she faced the dragon without hesitation. Letty picks a pen and writes on the leaderboard to correct Lime's name, and they wear their uniforms as official students of this academy. The instructor informs them that he would take them to a placement test before they could enter the dormitory. The placement exam determines their level of darkness, which will decide the class of dormitory they will enter. The instructor informs them that this beautiful freshly made machine was given to them by a magnificent school with a strange smile. Letty had a high score, and the students were surprised to find out she was one of the rare evil elves. Lime's score was too high for the machine to handle, and it broke into pieces. The instructor was angry and put Lime in the lowest dorm. Lime thought this would make it impossible for him to become a cadet, so he needed to find a shortcut. He decided to participate in the magic tournament, which was held once a year to decide the school's strongest mage. The winner would be bestowed with a magical treasure as a commemoration from the school's founder. Lime was glad he had found a shortcut to meet and kill King Duel at the Academy of Dark Magic. Lime pondered his current objective to be chosen as an elite cadet to get a chance to have an audience with the cruel King Duel. Meanwhile, Letty was thinking about Lime. She was glad she had met him in the entrance exam and was itchy just by thinking about him. She wondered where she could see him again because she had a feeling he would do great things. Lime summoned the Goblin girl and ordered her to use penetration to enter the school facility. The Goblin fairy arrived and reported that she had left the slave girl in his sister's care. He asked her to map out a full view of the school, and Lime looked at the dean's tower and thought he must not be completely detected with his level of concealment. At the Academy of Dark Magic Dean's Tower, the school dean Wesker and Million, who was handling the magic tournament, discussed Lime's threat. Wesker scratched his beard and wondered if the new student really defeated the Thunder Dragon. Eddie fixed his eyeglasses and irritably clarified that the students of their venerable school must not only possess strength but must also be a respectable demon tribe with grace and dignity. Lime thought that although they say in the rules that everyone has a fair chance to enroll, seeing their actions made him think that all the higher-ups were corrupt. Wesker looked at the side as if he noticed something, momentarily paused, and then stood up to tell them he understood the situation. After leaving the office, Milan looked at the door and wondered if the dean really understood. Eddie told Guy he was planning to manipulate the tournament brackets so that Lime would face a student from Gaia's faction. He wanted Gaia to cause an unforeseen accident and gave him the task of protecting their school's dignity. Observing that Gaia was a Dragonian, Lime thought he had a worthy opponent. After that, Lime noticed a kobold training at late night, and he returns to his room and summarizes his findings from the stealth mission and thought he would be busy starting tomorrow. The next morning, students were eating at the Academy of Dark Magic dining hall. Lime chewed his food and noticed Letty from a distance. Letty also noticed him and quickly waved her hand, but Lime turned down her offer. A kobold asked Lime if he could sit with him, and Lime agreed. The kobold informed him that he was also from the Seer dorm, and Lime told him he was looking forward to working with him. Suddenly, a man named Nero shouldered kobold and irritably asked who permitted him to eat there. Lime intervenes and Nero threw a punch, but Lime easily blocked his attack. Nero dropped to his knee and asked to be let go. Lime addressed him as a regular and stated that everyone was free to come to this cafeteria as they pleased. Nero's comrades inform him that Lime is the one who took down the Thunder Dragon in a single strike. This news stuns Nero, and he reveals to Lime that he knew the Dragonian faction's Breath of Flame faction has been keeping an eye on him. Kobold takes this news in stride and apologizes to Lime for dragging him into this. He introduces himself, and Lime recognizes him as Loot Arcadia, the man who will hunt the hero's forces to the very end in the future. Lime is surprised to learn this, and realizes that Loot will become the most powerful knight among the Order of the Dark Knights. While departing for their rooms, Loot is startled when Lime calls him over and asks if he can join in his midnight training session. Loot is surprised but gladly welcomes him. Lime then becomes serious and tells Loot that he needs to listen carefully. He reveals that Loot's younger sister is a nun of the Dark Church within the territory of the demon god Shanel, one of the 7 greats. Loot is surprised and wonders how Lime knew about this, but Lime brushes it off as something he heard in a rumor. Lime tells Loot that in the near future, her younger sister will go to a village bordering the human world for missionary work. When that time comes, Loot must tell her to come straight home and not stop or look back. Loot agrees to this and considers it repayment for helping him back at the dining hall. Several days later, Lime can be seen standing before the round targets hanging on the tree, practicing his magic and swordsmanship. Loot watches him and is amazed at Lime's high magic and swordsmanship levels. Lime thanks Loot for the compliment and tells him that he trained so hard to improve his skills. Loot looks at the swords and remembers that tomorrow is the tournament. He tells Lime that he thought it would be their last midnight training session, and Lime agrees. The next day, the magic tournament begins at the Academy of Dark Magic Coliseum. Lime learns that there are 128 participants in total, and he plans to go all out from the start. He tries to find out who his opponent is, and a cold glass of juice touches his face, startling him. It's Letty, who tells him that she saw him in the contestant zone for the tournament and called out to him, but he ignored her. Lime brushes it off as the loud cheering drowning out her voice, but Letty doesn't buy it. She tells Lime that she saw him enter the tournament against the school's strongest fighter right after enrolling, and she finds it strange. Lime chuckles and tells Letty not to mind him. Letty then gives Lime some chocolates as a token of apology for eating his chocolates back when they first met. Lime thanks her and enjoys the human feeling of receiving a gift. Later, Lime wins his first match against Orphan, a Dragonian from Lucifer Dorm. The crowd cheers for Lime, and after the match he is greeted by Lily, the fairy, and Mew, the slave goblin. They disguised themselves as students so they could watch the tournament, and Lily exclaims how awesome her big bro is. Lime is glad and pats their heads. As Lime walks away, he is approached by a girl, who tricks him, and Lime finds that she is a member of the Breath of Flame. She reveals that they were there to keep Lime stalled and that the entire Dragony in order would fight him right there. Gaia then shows up and tells Lime that he would die there without being noticed by anyone. Lime unleashes his dark power and tells Gaia that they must finish it within 3 minutes before the second match. Gaia transforms into Dragonian form and unleashes his magic attack, but Lime counters it with his dark magic. After the massive explosion, Lime defeats almost all of them, and Gaia transforms back to his human form. Lime wipes the dirt from his uniform and calls the girl, and asks her how much time left, and she reveals that still 30 seconds left. Lime then leaves for second round. Back at the battlefield, Lime is declared the winner of the second round because his opponent failed to show up on time. Lime concludes that his opponent must be one of the Dragonian he had taken care of earlier. Eddie is stressed after hearing the repeated declaration that Lime is the winner, and Lime's opponents didn't show up for the third match and the one after that. In the final match, Lime is glad to see Loot, who has awakened his Dark Knight ability. Loot thanks Lime for growing this far, and Lime is happy to see him. Loot is about to unsheath his sword, but he stops and raises his hand, surrendering. Loot thanks Lime and tells him that he is grateful for the victory, but Lime doesn't see it as a thanks. He wanted to have a duel with Loot, and if he really wanted to thank him, then he must fight him. Loot agrees, and they begin their battle. The referee announces the start of the battle, and the two vanish from their position, creating a huge explosion that covers the whole arena with dust. Their swords clash, and Lime thinks that such pressure behind Loot's wind is expected from the man who will become the strongest warrior. Lime disappears when Loot sways his sword, and Loot manages to avoid Lime's attack and jump backward. They stare at each other, and Loot feels strange because despite their intense battle, he feels so excited and wants to win against Lime. At the same time, he doesn't want this battle to end because the more blows collide, the more he wants to grow stronger. Their fists are about to collide, and when it happens, a blinding light from the impact can be seen. Lime slides backward from the impact and realizes that Loot became more robust as they fought. Knowing that it would become riskier if it continued, Lime plans on ending the battle with his next attack. However, Loot manages to block Lime's attack with his cross arm, and smiles before grabbing his hand. However, Lime vanishes before his eyes, and Loot wonders if it was just an illusion. He notices Lime's presence, but before he can react, his body is thrown away and crashes to the wall. After moaning in pain, he drops his knee first to the ground and loses consciousness. As Lime looks at the unconscious body of Loot, the referee announces that Lime is the winner. Lime slowly walks toward Loot, and upon coming closer, he looks at him momentarily before saying that Loot had grown stronger. And that's it for the part 1, stay tuned for the upcoming parts. Don't forget to like and subscribe, thanks for watching.